quiet week 2. Just a spattering of games. Just one on Friday, one on Saturday. Real relaxing start to December. Week 3, the chaos begins. Welcome back to another edition of the Off the Crossbar podcast here on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you get your audio or videos from. What's going on, everybody? Happy holidays. My name's Teddy Jenner. You can find me at Teddy Jenner. The other guy in his man cave with the beaches behind him, it's Pat Gregoire. You can find him at P. Greggy. The show at OTCB _podcast. Or on the Instas at OTCB podcast. Is that a Seals jersey? What's the gold one?
Yeah, we got a Seals jersey back here.
Rush?
We got a Rush jersey, a Rock jersey up in the corner, a St. Patty's Day Halifax jersey. Got a Oshawa jersey there. So
what's the Seals jersey? Whose is it?
They're all blanks, right? At least right now. So
you just stole them out of the bags at training camp?
No. So basically a little peel behind the curtain. Obviously other program, another sponsor of CoolBet, Lax Class. We're going to be doing a little bit different. It's not just going to be CoolBet packages that we give out for the Who You Got weekly winners. We're going to do some jerseys as well. So before I send them out, they're going to be my background props. But hey, this Beaches jersey back here is not going nowhere. That's not going anywhere. And I don't know if this Halifax one will be going anywhere. But a long teaser. We're months away from it. Around St. Patty's Day, we will be doing an Instagram giveaway with maybe something similar to this, but a little more impressive than that.
How was your holidays? I hear it's snowing buckets in Ontario.
Yeah, it has been a bit of an early white Christmas for us. I had to shovel my driveway twice before noon today, which was fun.
Gross.
But most of it on the driveway, now it's all melted, but sidewalks are a bit of a mess. The roads are okay. The plows have been out there. It's better. It came tonight or yesterday than tonight and tomorrow morning because we need smooth sailings heading into Ottawa. And usually whatever we get in Ottawa, times it by 1.5 because for whatever reason up in the nation's capital, man, they get dumped upon snow.
Last weather check, it's supposed to turn a little bit nice, even though it's going to be in the negative double digits. But fingers crossed, no weather issues in Calgary for Ted, no issues at Pearson for yourself, Doc, EB, Bucky, Joe Del B, the stat man, and then all the players and fans and everyone who's traveling this weekend, not just our game on Friday night, which is the only one on Friday. That's been kind of nice. The lone game on Friday, so all the eyes are on the TSN broadcast. We'll get to that. As mentioned, a very quiet week 2. Still 3 teams haven't played yet. Philadelphia, Vegas, and Rochester. We'll talk to Joe Resetarits, Buffalo Joe, newly named assistant captain of the Philadelphia Wings a little bit later. But give me a quick takeaway from week 2, whether it's from the Saskatchewan game or from the TSN game that you guys had in Ottawa.
I'm going to give you 2. The first one's going to be really quick, though. No more 2-game slates. That sucked.
Yeah,
we got such a great teaser last week in week 1, and then having only 1 game Friday, 1 game Saturday. It was not fun. It was not fun. But this week we have games on Friday, or a game on Friday. We have a loaded Saturday slate, and we even got Sunday lacrosse. So let's get a little more of that NLL. No more of these mini baby slates, okay?
But ESPN2 action as well. A little ESPN2 action as well, which is nice.
That is very true. So what my big takeaway will be, though, is Calgary's offense is going to be very, very good this year. I was very much impressed with the way that they snapped it around. Pace and Dixon on that right side, both of them with 7 points. Tanner Cook, he walked away with 5, but man, he really didn't get going until that second half anyways. Braden Maye, he only walks away with 4 points. I felt like he showed a lot of pop in that game. Noah Manning looked really, really good in his first game. Your boy Kyle Pepper in transition scored a big goal. So I'm sure the defense and Aiden Walsh probably would have preferred a better start to their season. But I think there's going to be a lot of games where that offense is going to be able to keep them in games because, man, they are athletic. They can shoot the lights out, and they're a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, the fact that they were able to come back in that game and tie it up. Look, it was tied with 30 seconds left or something like that. Like, or it was a 1-goal game with 30 seconds left. That was
1-goal game.
An incredible comeback. I thought it was a great comeback by Ottawa as well in that game. What am I talking about? What was the other game? What was the Friday night game? Halifax. Why was I thinking Ottawa? The Halifax game. That, my goodness, Warren Hill. Like, there were people, remember, like us all talking, oh, they got 3 goalies. They're bringing in Justin Getty all the way across the country. Like, Warren's job is on thin ice. I think he shored that ice up pretty quickly with that performance. Now, I'm not saying he's going to do that every night, but I think that gives us a big glimpse of what he can do against a very potent offense. And the fact that, he gave up too early, then just shut the door for the final, 46 minutes and change. Like, that was incredible. And I was happy to see that for a guy that's kind of been bashed around during the offseason about, can he be the guy? Is he the guy? He's going to have a short leash. Well, the leash has been lengthened a little bit. And then, I think you're right. I think the fact that Calgary was able to come back with that offense when there were so many questions just proves that Josh Sanderson is doing the right things with that group because, they too got off to a bit of a slow start. But once they started going, once they kind of figured things out and were able to use Saskatchewan's aggressiveness to their advantage, that was just an incredible, incredible comeback. Just an unfortunate loss for Calgary. So, again, quiet week, but some good positive signs for all clubs playing, whether they won or lost. The TFL 3 stars were announced on Wednesday. No surprise, Warren Hill setting a league record with a 96.1 save percentage. Just the 3rd goaltender ever to allow 2 goals against in a game. 2nd in the regular season, Matt Vince did it with Rochester against the Swarm. And then Bob Watson did it in the playoffs for Toronto against Philadelphia. So rarefied air for the King of the Hill. Austin Shanks, 2nd star, 3 goals, 7 points. He was firing it from everywhere. And then Mike Messenger is your 3rd star, 2 goals, 5 points, 9 loose balls, 2 caused turnovers, 2 block shots, and he carried a moose in from the wilderness.
Just a video game-esque stat line from Messenger. I think a lot of people coming into this season pegged Jake Boudreau as a potential transition player of the year candidate. I think he was a finalist last year. He starts the party in that game, causes the 8-second count, goes in on a 1-on-2, rips home the team's first goal of the year. No doubt should be on everyone's radar. I think we got to have Messenger on our radar, and dare I say, maybe like sneaky MVP, like radar with the numbers. If he can put, of course, obviously he's not going to put up a 5 spot every single game, but if he can have an impact all over the floor like that, man, oh man, and this is going to be a top 2, top 3 team. I think we got to start giving some more love to Messenger, not just as a burly, strong, scary man, a guy that is very, very skilled and can really have an impact in all aspects of the game.
We talked to Derek Keenan this week in our TSN calls, and he says one of the big things that's helped, 2 of the big things that's helped him was 1, getting Jake Naso in to take the draw. So that takes a lot of pressure off Mess. Just less wear and tear in the body having to do those faceoffs. But the other one was he's now living in Market. So that's less of a commute for him. He was living up in the interior BC, so it's not easy to get from where he was to Saskatchewan and back. So now in Market, again, less travel and less wear and tear in the body. Like if he's putting up those numbers and taking faceoffs in game 1, just imagine if and when Jake Naso gets back, the kinds of numbers that he will pick up. And I agree, dude. Like, this is a guy that easily could be like a Challen Rogers, a Zach Courier, MVP type 2A guy, just because he does so much. Like, he'll play short man, he'll stay and play power play if he has to. He can play anywhere in any position. First 5 seconds of a game, last 5 seconds of a game, you can trust when number 8 is on the floor for Derek Keenan and company. We'll get to our mailbag momentarily, but this kind of crossed the lines and sparked some debate in our chat groups. Both Connor Kirst and Blaze Reardon don't have their C's this year. Reardon on the PUP list, Kirst put on the IR. Do you read a lot into that, or is this just two guys that are injured, not going to start the year on the active? So let's just give somebody else to see who's here year round from day one.
Listen, it came as a big surprise considering the two character guys that we're talking about. Blaze Reardon, a beloved guy in that locker room, a beloved guy in that fan base. From all indications, it seemed like this is a guy that is committed to the Wings, committed to the NLL. So I was really shocked to see both, but we'll start with Blaze first. Maybe this is Paul Day. Like he said, it's a new chapter in the Wings. They this year, instead of going out and getting free agency, they worried more about their draft picks. They worried more about the guys that were in that locker room. They didn't worry about, okay, what's the big splash we can make? So maybe this is just their way of saying, okay, this is a new chapter. Let's go with a guy that's won 3 championships as a captain, who has led Team Canada to gold medals, and go with a Chris Corbeil. Or maybe it's not as deep as we think. And yes, maybe Blaze is going to be missing a lot more time than we expect or might think. And it's just easier to have a guy in the locker room that's going to be playing for majority of the season. I think you could say the same for Kirst. We found out today he's starting the year on the IR. And again, another character guy, another guy that lives in Market too. Let's not forget, doing a lot of community stuff as well. And as character, as the guy comes, like, we know the Kirst brothers, their energy is infectious. They love lacrosse. They literally do anything for the game. So to see him lose the C, and this is not a knock on Belgrave, I know he's another heart and soul guy on there. For me, something more has to be there, because it's not the case, and it's not the case like we've seen in other sports. I'll go to my team in the NHL, Toronto Maple Leafs. John Tavares, the same guy, the same group, can't get over the hump year after year after year. You have a franchise player in the Wings and wanting to get a C on that guy. Like, that's not really the case. I don't think they were dying to get the C on Belgrave or dying to get the C on Corbeil. I know a lot of the times in hockey, it's like, okay, we just got to put the C on our best player because we're going to sell more jerseys that way. And you know who the real locker room guy is right there, and so on and so forth. So I was shocked. I was very shocked. Yeah. I still am shocked. And it kind of leads me to believe, to be like, let's do a little more digging here. What is the real reasoning? Or us as media and fans, are we just reading too much into this?
Yeah, I want to say it's almost column A, column B. I think we are reading a little too much into it, but I think, with those guys starting on the IR, I think it's just, hey, you know what? We got to worry about the guys that are going to be here right away from day one. And I'm not saying Blaze or Kirst aren't going to be around the group, but and maybe they could have gone with 3 A's until those guys get back. But I think you just need a decisive voice in that locker room from day one. And it'll be interesting to see how, if there is anything more to this, if we're just kind of fanning flames that are on burning embers. So it was a shock to everybody, but within those locker rooms, I think they just got to be confident in who their leaders are and the voices that are leading those groups. Like, look at the veteran leadership that Willie brought in to Vegas, right? Like, you could have put the C on any of those guys that they brought in. So interesting, but I think this might be us fanning flames as we're ought to do. So let's fan some more flames and give the fans some say in this week's mailbag.
You've got mail.
All right, first question. Rochester hasn't played a game yet. As we said off the top of the show, they'll get going this weekend in their very first game of the year. Question from Spencer, our good buddy. How many points will Zed, Lanch, and Ryan Smith combine for in game one?
This one
Remember,
is tough.
Sundays in San Diego. Afternoon game. How easy is it to get up for that? Even though it is going to be your very first game of the year.
And everyone knows I am very questionable on San Diego. Can't get a great read on them. Although I like what I saw with them in Ottawa, but that was the offense. The defense, I'm a big proponent of that defense. I love that defense. The defense did not look good. Chris O'Riglieri did not look good at all.
No.
Wasn't tracking the ball well. A lot of bad bounces, but a lot of bad bounces were created from him not, fully blocking the ball, fully making those saves. And you could tell just not really sure of himself. And I do think, though, a lot of that had to do with the fact he had a condensed training camp. I think he maybe only had one practice leading up to there. But with that being said, 1 week, an extra week of practice, I don't know if it's going to make that much of a difference. And I did go back and check because it wasn't a Sunday when San Diego and Rochester met. It was a Saturday night. But that was a 14-13 game. Lanchbury had 7, Smith had 6, and Fields had 5. So I'm going to say we're going to have a similar stat line to those 3. I'm going to say Smith gets 7. Lanchbury gets 6.
That's 13.
And I'll be conservative and I'll say Zed gets 4, but it's going to be 3-1.
Okay.
But he's going to get a 3-1. So
I was going to just average it out and just say the 3 of them are going to average 5 points. I think we get a collective 15 points from those guys. So we're kind of right around the same area. I don't know if we've 100% confirmed if Zed is ready to go. So that might throw a wrench in it. But having the extra couple of weeks, you would imagine that fruit fly flying in my face. You would imagine that those extra couple of weeks have allowed Zed to get fully healthy. Man, I'm so excited to see Zed back in the National Lacrosse League because he's so fun to watch. There might not be a more fun play I like seeing than Zed come off the short side or the far side bench right through the middle and just body that low crease guy and then just plant his feet and turn and catch a ball. Like he just says, try and stop me. And and you just see some of these low crease guys just get absolutely dusted off the crease, and it's just like men against boys sometimes. So hopefully Zed is 100%. Hopefully he's in the lineup. But yeah, Spencer, I think we both think 15, 17 points for that trio. You got to expect Connor Fields is going to get his as well. So fun to see this Rochester team on day one. Brad, and this is going to be a fun one. If you might have seen it in Saskatchewan, they used the hard cam from behind the net. And he wants to know, what's your preferred way to watch a game on TV or maybe even in person? Is it the benches across from you, above the benches? Do you like that hard cam? What's your favorite camera angle and viewing angle?
Well, shout out TSN. My favorite is the RoboCam behind the nets.
Fair. Yeah.
The only issue with that is the reason why we don't go to that too live is if it goes down the other end, it's more difficult to see. But on a power play, from power play, I think it's a great look. And to kind of transition into like live games, well, usually live game, we're up in the press box, we see everything, we're up high. When you're sitting in the seats, you don't always get that vantage point because you're not as high up. For whatever reason, though, if I'm going like as a spectator, I'm going with buddies or whatever, always find ourselves behind the net in the corner, almost like the typical dad spot, which is great for, again, when the play is in your end, but far down goes the other way, not quite as good. But I love the low corner. When plays coming at you, you can really see plays develop. You get to see the size, the speed of the game. But I will say There is nothing that beats what you and I get treated to each and every week, being up in the press box, getting that vantage point. And I will say, shout out to the Tribute Community Center, because it is a bit of a smaller barn. We're not quite up as high, but we're kind of perched out over the seats. Quickly becoming one of my favorite press boxes in the LL. Maybe not as many bells and whistles as some of the other press boxes do have, or bathrooms being a bell or a whistle. But the vantage point in that building is actually pretty awesome.
Yeah. Okay, so here's a sidebar question. Most broadcast positions are across from the benches. Saskatchewan, you're above the bench. Which do you prefer?
I like to be able to see the bench. I like to be able to see what's going on across. I mean, we can still look, like we could go down and take a peek, and our press box in SaskTel, you can still see the benches, but I like when you can go directly across and see what the coaches are discussing or what's going on, or a player goes down the tunnel. But no knock to SaskTel, because that is a great place to call a game. It's just a lot of quirks to that building. There's no doubt about that.
Okay, a couple quick ones from Big Mike. Question 1, what team this week has the most pressure to start fast or they'll get blown out?
This one, shout out Big Mike, because this is a good question. Initially, I didn't see the blown out part, so I was like, are we talking about a team that needs to start good, like to their season? Or then I read it, it's a hot start. I think then that case kind of changes my answer. I think it's Philly, just because I don't know. I listen, they're not going to have the offensive punch that they had last year, not having Mitch Jones. I do still think that the team's weakness, the Achilles heel, is not going to be the offense. I do think that they're going to be able to score a lot of goals this year. I just don't know if it's going to be in week 1. And I also don't know if the team in Colorado is the team that you're going to be able to rally against. They seem like a team that are going to keep games low scoring, especially if they get a lead. They're going to be able to grind you out. So I think Philly is a team that needs to start hot, stay hot, if they want to stay competitive with a Colorado team that I think a lot of people are really high on right now.
I tongue-in-cheek wanted to say Vancouver just because of the conversations we've had today about our broadcast. But I don't think, even if Vancouver doesn't start fast, I don't think they get blown out. I think that's still going to be a close game at the end of the day. I'm going to say the Albany Firewolves. And because you...
Oshawa.
Wow. Ding. There's a fine.
Ding.
First round's on me tomorrow night. The Oshawa Firewolves, because you come off that first game, all the high of beating Toronto in your home opener in your new barn. Then you go to Halifax and you lay a goose egg and only score 2. If you have to go now down to Georgia and you have a slow start and Brett Dobson starts to zone in and you allow that sort of maybe unknown Georgia offense to get their feet going, and you allow Lyle Thompson and Shane Jackson to really spark that team, I think you could see a game going almost very similar to the way that Halifax Oshawa game went. So for me, it's the Albany Firewolves. Oh, there's 2. The Oshawa. I didn't do it once the entire game. Moving on. Amazing. It's the Oshawa Firewolves. You got to start fast. Number 2, which contender is more likely to lose? Saskatchewan at Ottawa, Buffalo at Halifax, or Vancouver versus Vegas?
Listen here. Well, I would not be surprised if one of those teams lose. I don't know if I would be surprised if 2 of them lose. I'd be very surprised if all 3 lose. But I see a scenario where each team loses. Let's start with the Rush. You're traveling. It's a travel day. A lot of the guys are coming from the West. You go into Ottawa, a very desperate Ottawa team. And you got Jeff T. Like, I think we're forgetting, sure, they looked really bad. They were down 6-0 and they still managed to come back and make that a game. Their offense still looked really, really good. So if they and we saw the Rush, their defense and Frank Giuliano look kind of susceptible in that second half. The Bandits against Halifax, anytime those two teams meet, man, it's always a great game. I know Halifax hasn't had a lot of success in Bandit land, but they've knocked off the Bandits before in the regular season. They've beaten that team before. It's been in Halifax. Look what we just saw from Warren Hill. We know the offense can keep up. I could see either way. Warriors, Las Vegas, we know. I don't think I need to really go in the history between some of the guys on that team. I think you probably lean towards this being the least likely of the two because Warriors obviously coming off a loss. Las Vegas, it's being their first game. We know the question marks in between the pipes. So my answer, I think I'll go Bandits. Because just with the team with Halifax, but it's so damn hard to beat Buffalo in that building. And I'm really, really high in Saskatchewan. I'm really high on Buffalo. But I think I'll go Bandits. But I could make a case for any of these three teams.
I'm gonna say Vancouver. Because if much like what I said with Oshawa, if you don't start getting goals, you don't sort of see some success early, start gripping your stick, start questioning themselves, you can let the other team go on a roll. So if Vancouver doesn't get off to a good start, if they allow Vegas to get comfortable and allow that offense to find some legs and some juice, I could definitely see Vancouver losing that lacrosse game, starting off 0-2, and then we can really start to have those debates about was too much done in the offseason with this team. Again, that's a question we're pushing that down the ring. I'm not ready to have that conversation yet, but all the hype around this team, if you start 0-2, you start 0-2 at home, then there becomes a lot more question marks. So I think they're the ones more likely to lose. I think the Rush are going to play a little too fast for Ottawa on the defensive end. I think Buffalo is just going to come out guns blazing as they always do. I can't see Warren Hill having back-to-back games like he just did. I think Vancouver is the team for me that could be the one most likely to lose that game. So thank you for your questions this week. We got one more. This isn't really a mailbag. It just came through sort of my inbox. Did you read Dan Arestia's column or his Xmas wish list article he put out today?
I did not, and I'm so sorry, Dan. I always read your content. Sticks in podcast is always in my rotation here, but unfortunately, no, I have not had a chance to read it. So without giving me any spoilers, let's hear it.
No, I'm going to have to because we're going to talk about it.
Oh, come on.
It's basically it's his Xmas wish list, and he's asking Santa for the ultimate unified pro lacrosse league, unofficially titled the NPLL. So what it is you're taking all of the markets that have lacrosse essentially, and you're making one super league of 18 teams. If you have a PLL and an NLL team, say like Colorado does, they're the Denver Outmoth or the Colorado Outmoth. You got the Philadelphia Water Wings, San Diego Red Seals. But then, you got your Boston Cannons and your Carolina Chaos and your Calgary Roughnecks. The teams that just have one, that's your team. But your team and your season is box and field. And so you have a roster made up of box and field players that make up your two disciplined teams. And you may have specific box guys, you may have specific field guys, but then you would have the hybrid guys that can play on both rosters. But to create our teams, you have to have a draft. And the key thing there was that guys that play in both, they go into a lottery pool for a redraft.
Okay.
If you're just a box guy, you stay with your team. If you're just a field guy, you stay with your team. But if like Zach Courier plays for Philadelphia and San Diego, he goes into a draft. As crazy as it sounds, as wild as it is, it's not the worst kind of logical thinking of how to make lacrosse be one cohesive family. So I want to add a wrinkle to it. And we've talked about this before. Let's make it box, field, and sixes. You play everybody once in each discipline. and you have this super hybrid elite super league. I suggest you go to sticksandlacrosse.com. That's Dan's website. Read the article. Give us your thoughts. But it was just kind of a wild thought of how can we make lacrosse work succinctly together. And this was just like, no one's ever really thought about this.
No,
but
this is I love this.
Cool and sort of makes sense. You would have more ability to have guys live in market because you could have more guys, playing both disciplines. You can have more rivals. If you, the one line he says, if you have a huge rivalry in the field lacrosse and you can't beat a team, we'll just wait till you play them inside in the box and you can start fighting guys. Like it kind of drums up some interest and some thought process. And I was like, oh, it's kind of an interesting idea. So
I do love this. I kind of don't love the redraft because, well, I mean, technically,
what did he say for the draft? Continue your thought.
So the one thing, because I was just trying to think, like, just Buffalo jumps out at me, but then again, Dane and Josh aren't in the PLL currently, so they would stay with Buffalo, right? I'm just thinking of what their starting lineup would be. So for Buffalo, you'd have Dane, Josh, and Dahoga as your attack line. Then on defense, you'd have Matt Vince at long pole.
Yeah.
Chris Wires as another pole.
Belter.
Yeah, Belter with another pole in his hand. You'd have to find a goalie. I don't know, maybe Orleman can play field lacrosse goalie.
Well, that's why they draft. They would draft a field guy. They would have a field team.
Yes.
Oh, you're just talking from their own roster.
I'm just saying, just from the roster, what their actual field lacrosse roster would. I'm just saying that's how good they are. Their field lacrosse roster.
Mickey would run two ways. You've got
their midfielders would be, like their midfield line would be like McKay, Desnoo, it'd be like McKay, Desnoo. I mean, Weiser could probably play. Buchanan could play.
Byrne could run a little two-way. Dane can run a little two-way.
Dylan Robinson would be a D midi. Taylor Dooley played D1 lacrosse at Mercer. I think this is awesome. Like, I love this. This actually is a sweet idea. The redraft makes sense for the guys that can't cross over, but it just jumped out to me. I'm like, who would have the best roster? Which NLL team would have the best roster for a field lacrosse team? And Buffalo jumped out at me as one.
Okay.
Toronto would be another one.
So in that vein, the two teams that stand out to me are Georgia and Colorado. And you know why?
Why is that? Goalies?
Goalies. They're the only team that has a goalie that's the box and field goalies. You already have a built-in double weapon. Yeah.
No, for sure. For sure. That would definitely be it. And hey, they also have a lot of really good field lacrosse players on both sides as well. When you look at Georgia with how young their roster is and some of those studs out the back. Yeah, this is fun. I can't wait to read this. And I'm probably gonna I know what I'm doing on the flight. I'm building NLL.
You're building
NLL field lacrosse rosters because this is a lot of fun.
Thanks for your questions this week. Again, any questions, hot takes, thoughts you have, slide into our DMs, whether it's on Instagram or Twitter. Holler at us, and maybe we'll read it on the show. Joe Resetarits is a massive Buffalo Bills fan. He's going to have a very busy weekend. Will he be able to beat the snow and get home in time to see Josh Allen and the Bills do battle on Sunday? We'll ask him as he joins us this week on the Off the Crossbar podcast.
Get your popcorn ready because something crazy is about to happen.
Joining us, as always, friend of the show and a proud Buffalo Bills fan. They call him Buffalo Joe Resetarits of the Philadelphia Wings. How are you, brother?
Good. How are you guys doing? Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, we're great, man. It's a crazy time of year. Christmas is right around the corner. Maybe thought Christmas would come before your guys' first NLL game, but how is Christmas around the Resetarits household?
That's nuts. I mean, the kids, the older they get now, I mean, my daughters are 7 and 5. My son is 3. So we're getting into that stage of getting into a lot of like activities and whatnot. So my girls are in competitive cheer, and that's when they got in it, I didn't realize the world that I was getting myself into with that. It's reminds me of the travel hockey aspect of just how intense it is, and the amount of traveling they do and whatnot, and obviously gymnastics. My oldest is starting lacrosse coming up here in the winter too, so there's a lot going on. Obviously with the holidays too, and obviously with season starting for myself. It's a pretty busy time of the year, but I'm thankful my wife can allows me to do this on weekends. Why it's not easy parenting three kids like that, especially when I'm on the road. So again, I couldn't be more thankful that she lets me do this, and she's got the hard job, right, and that's dealing with the kids, and I get to go out and do what I love, and I can't thank her enough for that.
What's the big
You're one of the
Christmas
last
present?
teams. Oh, sorry.
Hold on, Patty. We got to talk
Yeah.
Santa stuff first, man.
You're right, you're
What's on
right.
the big Christmas wish list for the young guy?
The young guy, I mean, he's trying to figure out what he's into right now. Obviously, he's big on. I don't know if he definitely didn't get it from me. He probably got it from my wife, but he's big into learning. He's big into his ABCs, big into numbers.
Big into learning.
He's, I'm not saying I wasn't the smartest, but like again, obviously there's a lot of people are smarter than me in this world. But yeah, he's shown the times where he wants to get into sports, and obviously he's 3 years old, but it's all different. It's kind of they all ask for different things, and the puppy's the big one they're asking about right now, and I don't know what we're doing with that yet, but we have a dog right now, and I don't think I just tried telling them that they grow up, and you don't really pay attention to the dog we got now, so. But yeah, it's kind of all over the place. I mean, every year it's something different. I know Legos are usually a big one for a while, and all of a sudden, like they don't play with them, and then they're like, "Oh, I want this Lego set." So it's just kids being kids at this point. But my wife's really good at figuring out, obviously, finding the deals, the Black Friday shopper. So she does a good job with getting them what they need. So.
Early Christmas gift for you, maybe a Bills win this Sunday over the Patriots and possibly get back on top of the division if they win out here, or what?
I hope so. I mean, they kind of put themselves in tough situations. Obviously, you guys watching it's every game they've lost, they've kind of had a chance to win, which is a good sign. Even though the Miami game didn't look good, I think it was until 8 minutes left in the fourth. It was a 3-point game or something like that. So, right, Josh usually gets hot at this time. So, and he has.
December.
Yeah, like you saw him last week, and I was really worried going into that game more than I am this week against New England, just because of Burrow and Chase, and obviously, Burrow's I guess the first one to slip up, and I had a feeling that was what that game was going to be, but hopefully they can go on a little bit of a run here, and I think New England's due definitely for a loss here. I mean, they're a great team. Don't obviously but I really think they're. A team like Buffalo coming in right now, they're hot, and obviously if they win out, I know a lot needs to happen. From what I understand, the Patriots schedule isn't too hard, so you never know though. You never know, but yeah, a win this Sunday would be huge. Going forward,
Whatever you guys can do to avoid the Broncos, eh? Just whatever you can do to avoid.
Oh,
The
here
yeah,
we go.
see,
Here we go.
that's a teams like that in Houston. It would scare me with Allen. I mean, you saw Houston's D, Denver's D is probably, in my opinion, better, and I think they're, the better offense between the two, between Denver and Houston, is definitely Denver. So, yeah, that's a tough matchup. The AFC is kind of wide open, but I think like a team like Denver or Houston is a team, everyone wants to avoid. I think the NFC top teams are, I think the Rams are kind of a league in their own right now. So, but yeah, you never know. I mean, it's still 4 weeks. Everything can change. So I'm just hoping the Bills can figure it out. They'll be in the postseason, and obviously if they're a wild card, I still wouldn't want to face Hale in first round. So, or in
Oh,
general.
yeah.
So
No
As long as
no
it's not in
Burrow,
Buffalo,
no
we'll be good.
Mahomes.
yeah,
No
and
Burrow,
maybe
no
no
Mahomes.
Lamar.
The door's open.
Yeah.
The Ravens don't
Yeah.
really scare me, but again, if
No.
Lamar, you never know, he can just go off too, right? So having all those guys out is, in a perfect world, you would think this is it, like they're going to do it. Now
Yeah.
that's it. He doesn't have any of those guys to deal with, but
Yeah.
and again, a long season, obviously this is going to be tough, but 17's at the helm, man. It's not gonna. That's always a plus.
Oh, yeah.
So you guys are one of the last teams to start your season. How has it been sitting back and watching the first couple of weeks? What have you been doing to kind of keep on tabs of what's been going around the league?
So we practiced last week. We had 3 practices. So we took that as the 4th week of training camp in ways because Thanksgiving we were off, but it's tough, right? And every year is different, and sometimes like you see, a couple teams have 2-week bye weeks, to start the year. Why teams are already buzzing and playing and whatnot. So obviously we obviously with the schedule we had, we started 2nd week of November, and been working hard, man. And last week was a great practice to one, obviously 2 weeks off, with Thanksgiving, getting the legs going, and getting our skills back. Obviously didn't take long, but preparing for Colorado and what to expect. I mean, they had a huge win against Vancouver, right? And they're a team that's well coached. You got one of the best goalies ever do it, and they got a lot of firepower, and they got a big, tough defense. So I mean, they're a great team. Obviously the record didn't show how good of a team they were last year, and obviously, I don't think they have McLaughlin yet, but I mean, kind of not having him last year's a big loss too, right? So, but again, they got a lot of firepower, and we've been preparing all week. Like last weekend, how to game plan as much as we can. Obviously the first game is always a roller coaster, that first period. So it's kind of just like, all right, let's go out, play our game, right? We know what to expect. We got some of the scout on them, and obviously they're going to game plan us, obviously, but we just got to go and be us.
Offense will look a little bit different this year with 3 lefties on that side. I'm sure you guys want to get out there and compete and battle right away, but I'm sure the extra time to gel together certainly has allowed you guys to get a little more chemistry, I think.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, again, like you said, we lost, you lose Mitch Jones, one of the top players in this league for a while now, and in the future he's going to be the same, right? It's that's a big loss. It's a lot of production, a lot of the veteran leadership, the talent, the IQ, right? We're losing all that, and a great guy off the floor, right? So like it's big shoes to fill, right? And obviously Holden, that was another guy we lost last year, but we got with Blaze is we'll get Blaze back here soon. Brennan O'Neill's going to take a big jump this year. I think, it's a no-brainer that he's, he with a year under his belt and kind of understanding what's going on, the IQ part of the game, how the game flows. Like there's not many guys that he's kind of a one-of-one type of lacrosse player. And, you don't see talent like that ever. And, I think he's figuring it out. I mean, you see him in practice, like me, myself, see him in practice, and, just the jump he's making. And, having a guy like Eric Fennell with him too is going to be huge for his game. One of the best off ball, all around players there is, and Eric's kind of had a tough road last couple of years, but he's came in back, and, this camp, he's been incredible. He's in shape, right? He doesn't look like he's have any issues with, his knee at all. So, I mean, he's came in ready to go, and he's been a big help for Brennan. And then, Landon Sinfeld, young guy has been looking really good. We talked about, him before, and I obviously never really saw him play. But he had a really good President's Cup, and, and obviously Nick DeMood played with him. He's like, yeah, he was our best player by far, in the Prezi and during the Prezi and everything. So, and you just see him figuring the pro game out, right? As the weekends went on, you saw how confident he was getting, how he was adjusting, right? The big thing that he's got, is that he's played box lacrosse his whole life. He understands the game, right? He's got the skills, just understanding kind of. He already knew where to put himself in the right spots and whatnot, and obviously playing with Eric and Brennan, right? He's not going to have to do. He's just going to have to go out there and enjoy playing the game, right? And he's had a hell of a camp, and he's a guy that the future is extremely bright.
Year 12 for yourself. Does it seem just like yesterday you were a fresh-faced rookie?
Oh yeah, it does. Being in Kurt Malowski's camp, and it's kind of funny. I was telling one of the guys, I forgot who I was telling, but it was like 2 weeks ago, and someone was not feeling well during practice, and I remember my first camp, going in 100%, 100 miles an hour. You got, hearing Malowski talk, right? You're like, oh my God, like I got to work my ass off. And, I think halfway through, I started puking right in the middle, right an hour into practice, but I had to, and I'm like, I just didn't know what to expect. I went in 100 miles an hour, and guys, some of the vets down at the team were like, hey, just relax a little bit. Like, you still got 3 more practices. And then, but yeah, I remember like yesterday, just that happening, and, and just kind of as years go on, you kind of ease into it. And, it's, I'm thankful enough that I'm still in the situation, and, to be here playing this game at 36. And, if you asked me that when I was a rookie, if I'd still be able to play at this game, I would tell that person they're crazy, that. So again, I'm thankful enough to be here, and, I don't take this. I think it was after, it was probably around when we came back from COVID. I looked at this game a whole different way, and, not, obviously there's a lot of what ifs, coming back for something like that, right? We didn't play for a season and a half, and, you don't know. I was 33, so I didn't know how my body be, or, what I'd lose. And, once I started, finding my rhythm again, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna, I'm thankful again. I'm thankful enough to do this. And, whether it's my last year, or I play another 2 or 3, right? I'm just enjoying it. And, being an older, one of the vets on the team now, for a while now, like I'm just, telling the guys just to enjoy the ride, man. You can't take any shift off, can't take any this stuff for granted, because it's life that, you never know what's going to get thrown at you next. So, you could get dealt a bad hand, and, unfortunately get hurt or something, but, you got to take every moment and take it in and enjoy every minute of it.
Well, funny you say that, because the next thing I was going to ask, 4 of the last 5 seasons since that COVID layoff, you've eclipsed the 100-point mark. And last year, a career high over 120 points, became the highest scoring American of all time. Besides that mindset change, what has allowed you to elevate your game to elite status?
Again, like you see, the older you get, you got to change workouts. You got to, the game keeps evolving every year. Like the athletes that are coming into this, and the talent is just, it just keeps rising, right? And, as an older player like myself, and even, some of the guys in their late 30s are still playing that, they got to work that much harder during the week. And, obviously that's not necessarily, hammering weights as much as you used to when you're younger, but, just doing the things you need that are going to keep you able to play, on every weekend. And, thankfully enough, I've, found that, that's kind of that area I know where I need to be, but again, try to evolve it each and every year. And, I know kind of what I need to at this age. And, obviously next year, something else, something else I might need to work on. Again, like a big thing is just trying to keep my conditioning, keep my joints, everything. Just, my warm-ups are a lot longer than they used to be. Thankfully enough, obviously there's times I am sore, but, obviously, I prepared not to, I've been recovering pretty quick. And, after a game or practice, I'm, hopping in the Normatec boots, or, doing something just making sure I recover quick so I can get back to working out and all that stuff. So, and I know, you got a guy like Chris Corbeil on our team who's, same situation, just, we have to, we approach the game a lot different than, we did 5 years, even a year ago. So, again, so that stuff is, is huge. And, and again, I look back at, if I could tell my rookie year self that doing little things like that. And, obviously you can get away with a lot more when you're younger body wise, but I wish I could go back and tell myself to take care of do little things like that more. And, I just stuff you learn as you go. And, obviously, hopefully that's what I've been trying to mentor, the younger guys. And, that stuff matters. What you do on the floor is a product of what you're doing during the week. And, and I could tell you most people are a firm believer in that.
You mentioned Corbeil. He was named today captain of your team. You also wearing an A, and Ryan Wagner as well. Firstly, just go in and let us know exactly maybe what we don't see on the floor, but what makes Chris Corbeil such a great leader, but then also the honor for you to be wearing an A with this group as well.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's an honor. And Corbs is a born leader. I mean, he's captained 3 championship teams, and maybe the greatest dynasty in lacrosse history. They were winning those championships when there's only 9 teams. So, and that was, obviously it's not easy winning a championship, but how they did it in the league when there was only 9 teams says something how special they were. And obviously captaining Team Canada. But you just, I don't know, if you be around him and you just hear when he talks, he controls a room, right? And guys, that's the one guy that you hear him talk like everyone's listening, right? He's been it, he's lived every situation, and right, and he knows how to get the most out of everybody too. And but yeah, he's been there for a captain, a leader his whole life, even junior, so he's been familiar with that. And for younger guys, right, like it's guys listen to guys like that. And and as myself too, is again, I'm, a lot more vocal, than years past. And, obviously with, there's times, I kind of just let, it play out with, leaders we have. And, this year I've been trying to be more vocal and, be more a mentor than, obviously I tried being mentoring, younger guys, last couple of years now, but more, now that, I see, guys like Dalton Young and, got Sam LeClaire, like those are guys that, they have the world, in front of them, and, kind of just, understanding like, hey, like there's going to be ups and downs, right? Just understanding that, the more you put into this and, the harder you work, right, you're going to be rewarded. And, they're great players. Like they're going to get their goals. They're going to get their chances. It's just, it's what you're doing, the little things. And, that's why you see Sammy and, Dalton, these guys find success, at young ages that they, they're kind of earning their stripes doing the little things. And, that's kind of how I look. That's how, when I entered the league, I had to earn my respect. And, by doing those little things. And, that's kind of as me is, if we're going to make this work this year, right, that's something we got to be perfect at, stuff like that.
I know you're not a huge social media guy, but I'm sure you've seen the predictions and the rankings heading into the season. Not a lot of people expect big things from the Philadelphia Wings, but what can we expect from this Wings team, and how to use that to fire you guys up?
So, I've seen it, it's, I've, seen it in a few of the rankings. And big message is you can't really look into that stuff, right? This league's so unpredictable. I mean, you look at last week, I think Calgary was right with us and they almost beat Saskatchewan. So, I mean, it's the Rush are a top, 3 team right now, and based off last year and being the same team. So, I mean, they competed with them well, and it's just, right. It's always that thing that, you can beat anyone on any night, but, you got to build off that too, right? So we're a team that's going to obviously be a team that's going to have to work harder than the other team, right? We're a lot of new faces, obviously some familiar faces we've had, but right, our identity is just that, we're offensively like, it's a ball moving team, right? It's, we're going to be successful by working hard and letting everyone buy in, everyone gets a chance to shoot, so that's our big philosophy right now. Obviously some guys are going to get more shots than others on some nights, but but again, we're a team that we're doing it by committee and defensively as well. And, and obviously it hasn't been great the last 3 years, and we've showed signs of excellence, and it's our big thing is trying to find that consistent balance where we keep improving. And, and it was more a lot of the little things that have hurt us in past, not cutting off transition, not having loose balls, and that stuff adds up, right? And offensive loose balls, we were, I think bottom of the league, and that's something we're driving, that we got to win that bet. We got to be beating the other team this year, and because you look at the top teams, that team like the Bandits, they're getting multiple repossessions a game, right? And then that's when a good team like that, good teams start scoring. So we're trying to base, we're watching the successful teams, the last couple of years, and we know that we got to be into that. It's just, I think with the camp we've had, that we got to have that next play mentality. If there's going to be a mistake and whatnot, it's lacrosse, right? There's gonna be mistakes made, but we're a team that's just gonna have to work really hard this year. It's a great locker room. Everyone's bought in. And again, right, I think our big thing is just we're gonna get a lot of stuff thrown at us this year. It's a long season. It's just about us keeping that balance, and not every, we're not going to win every game, but in years past, like, we lose a game, we got to find a way to get out of that. And that's kind of where our skids just kept getting worse. And our big thing is, whatever's thrown us, we got to be ready, and we got to somehow battle through that and improve. So
what's it like playing in one of the most rabid sports fan bases in the world? With everything that's going on in that city and though that sports complex, it just has to be madness sometimes.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you got all four of the big sports teams playing in there. We're our first game. We got to get out of there quick for the Flyers. So, yeah, it's a challenge. I mean, it's even getting in there. There's times there's been playoff Eagle games, right? So it's been kind of challenging, but but it is what it is, right? Our league, how far the league has came since I've came in has been night and day. So I mean, there's still obstacles we get thrown at us. That's just what it's not just us dealing with; it's a lot of teams dealing with other stuff too. So, but it's a great place to play, man. I love the city. The fans, they love their sports, right? And obviously, they're very passionate with even with their home team. They're not afraid to get into it with you, but it's all coming from a love place, or a love area, in my opinion, just because they care so much about us, right? And I mean, if you could watch me watch a Bills game, I'm saying everything at them, man, when things are going. But but that's the same thing with them, and obviously we're known as a tough, hard-working city, and that's a great city. I know everyone who's been there will say the same thing, and we got a great building to play in, and it's a great fan base, and our goal is we haven't had success, like I said, the last 3 years, and they deserve better. Just because a lot of them are there every time, and even when we're in those skids, they're still supporting us. So they deserve better, and we know that.
Last one for you. Obviously, this is a time for family around the holidays, but it's also a time to just kind of reflect. And horrible news about Coach Liam Gleason a couple weeks ago. Obviously, you knew him very well with your time at Albany. Just tell us about him and what he was like, and some of the memories you had about Coach Gleason.
So he, before he came, he graduated my brother from Albany. He was one of my brother's best friends. My brother stood up in his wedding. And so I got to know Liam very well. Before he became a coach, I actually played with his little brother, Brendan. He was 2 grades above me. But, Liam came in my senior year of college from Siena. He was an assistant. And, obviously knowing him well, and, obviously hearing from Frank what a great guy is. But, the one thing that, you see all these articles and, what people are saying about him, that he was just a giant teddy bear, man. I mean, he had a smile on his face 24/7. And he got to learn from one of the best in Scott Marr. I mean, he had the same philosophy, the same that he brings everyone together. And he was just fun, man. I mean, he had like I said, a smile on his face 24/7. Great coach, right? He was, again, a giant teddy bear, and it's tough news, man. It really was, because having a family like that, and and obviously you got your team, head coach of a college team, and what I was telling my wife is that when you're at college, it's more than just your teammates, right? You're with them every single day. It's your life, those guys, your coaches. And, and I feel for those kids that, and I mean, obviously family first. It's, couldn't even imagine what they're going through. But, with the college kids, and, you lose your leader, and in a terrible way. And it's just, there's times like that, how they're all together, that, it seems like, they're coming together. That's only going to, in a crazy way, it's going to make them strong, bring them together, that the guy that brought them there and who believed in them to be part of his program, and, that they're going to do this all for them. And, right. And you see how the lacrosse community just comes all together for each other in these situations like this. And it's been amazing to see that. And again, right, it's, I obviously speaking with Blaze about it too. And, we were just talking this past week and about all the, fun stories we had about him. And but yeah, it's it's awful news, man. And and it's awesome seeing Coach Marr from Albany do a lot with, obviously him being a fellow Great Dane and everything too. And, kind of how they brought both teams together, and just, bond, and, that it's more than just a game, right? It's a family, and it comes down to life. I mean, he was a father and a husband. So, but again, he was a special person, man. And, I know he's going to be looking down on everybody, and, he's going to be smiling with all the support and the help they're giving his family. And, again, he was a giant teddy bear, always had a smile on his face. And, if he met you for the first time, he'd be giving you a giant hug. So, but yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, it's some of the people that I knew that were coached by him, or even just scrolling through Instagram that day, you'd see just the impact that he had on the lacrosse community in the NLL, or just across upstate New York, Western New York, that type of thing. But you're right, the sentiment was a gentle giant, and there's no doubt he's going to be missed. And like you said, the lacrosse community rallied around. So that's the one positive thing we can take away, is that when we know tragedy strikes, the lacrosse community is always there, lending that helping hand.
Yeah, I mean, you've seen it, over time after time, when something unfortunate happens in in our sport, and everyone comes together, and it just shows you that how tight, the lacrosse community is, and how it just keeps evolving. Since it's been a lot of terrible things happened, and, obviously it's life, which is unfortunate. But again, right, anytime something like this happens, and, it's people are there just to help out right away. And, it's just, and I'm thankful enough that we're all part of that. And, that we see that, and know that everyone's going to be, even if you don't know that person, they're still going to be there behind you and going to help you.
There's no doubt about that. Joe, thank you so much for taking time to stop by us. We appreciate the time. Always an open invite to come on the OTCB and chop it up with the fellas. Good luck this weekend. And sorry, I'm a Bills fan, so I'm going to say even more important, Sunday's the big game for us. We got to get it done.
Oh, yeah, it is, man. I thankfully I could get home and watch that. I'm pretty I've lucked out with, even with training camp, being able to watch games and everything. So it's been working out good. That usually, I mean, there's times where I'd have to miss half a game, and I remember missing the Chiefs game last year when they knocked them off, and I literally walked in right when he scored that touchdown, listening on the radio, waiting on over the Peace Bridge, trying to, trying not to be too loud and all that, but yeah, it's a big one. And again, I'm fired up for Saturday, and I love our group. It's going to be a hardworking group, and I know they're all ready to get after it. So.
Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness!
All right. Always great talk with Buffalo Joe. I could listen to him talk ad nauseum, and I wonder, do you think he's got coaching in his future? Do you think that's a path that he would want to enter?
If he wants to, absolutely. I absolutely could see that. He sees the game so well. He has such a passion for the game. He's obviously got leadership skills. I think it's a no-brainer. I think it would be great if I am US box, whether that's the national team or Shaden Santos and US box, the collegiate box league, whoever. If you are south of that border and run a box lacrosse program, you should be knocking at his door when he hangs it up. It was so funny, though, hearing him being like, I'm just thankful I'm still able to play this game, talking like he's this old wily vet that's just barely hanging on when he put up 121 points last year and had a career year.
Dumb.
This dude's got so much gas left in the tank.
He's got to be getting like cell plate replacement or something like that. He's just doing something. I'm not saying he's, Wada, don't go after him or anything like that. I'm just saying. Just saying. Week 3 is on deck, a very busy one. It starts Friday. We will have the call along with Ashley Docking and our entire TSN crew. That's the NLL on TSN game of the week. Rush at Black Bears. We talked to a few guys this week. I know I said I think Saskatchewan will put this team to the test, especially defensively. I'm really excited to watch this Ottawa offense up close and personal. Now, we saw them a couple times last year. No right side help. Riley O'Connor was out a lot of the season with the injury. Callum Jones missed a bunch of the year on the defensive side of the ball. I'm really excited just watching that game, watching Rob Hellier. That first goal he scored, like the short side backhander, like that.
Stupid. That's
your first goal of your new team, like unbelievable. And once they started to get going, remember how we always talk about Teat just nonchalantly shooting the ball?
Yeah.
Was it the fourth quarter, or is it the second or fourth quarter? They're on the power play, and he's just backpedaling, and he throws it around a screen, beats O'Riglieri 5-hole, like maybe went 60 miles an hour. Like, it's just crazy. Some of the things that he can do with the ball in his stick, but I really can't wait to watch this offense up close and personal. I think it's going to be a really good test. And Dan McCray told us this week, and I know Josh Sanderson said it last week to the broadcast crew, teams are using Saskatchewan as a benchmark. This is a great test for our team, is what everyone keeps saying whenever they go up against Saskatchewan, especially these teams that were on the outside looking in last year, or teams that may not have the best progress this year, is, okay, we think we're good. We think we have what it takes. Let's test ourselves against Saskatchewan. I think this is going to be a fantastic game on Friday.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to watching both teams. We saw a lot of Saskatchewan last year with that playoff run, and I think it's a very, very similar team to what we saw. But for me, I think I know what we're getting with Saskatchewan. We know this is going to be a team in the springtime. We're going to be talking about them being a high seed, a team that's fast and athletic and mean out the back door, and that is skilled and can shoot the lights out and can go off and pick your poison, which player is going to have the big night. And of course, Frank Scigliano is going to be one of the best goalies in the league. On the flip side with Ottawa, I don't know, because at some points, and I watched back that game for the third time now, and at some points I watched the offense and I'm like, this team is legit. This offense is a championship offense. And then there was other times where I'm like, I don't know what these guys are doing. And then defensively, I'm watching them like, ooh, yikes, this is ugly. This is not good. And then at other times, I'm like, okay, I can see this. So first game, jitters, a lot of new faces out the back door. Probably wasn't Higgy's best game in between the pipes either. I'm not saying we're going to know what Ottawa is after 2 games, but I think we're going to get a better picture of what they are, because the first game seemed way too Jekyll and Hyde. The highs will never be, I think, as high as they were, and I just don't think the lows will be as low as it is. Somewhere in the middle is what that Ottawa team is. It's just where do we actually find out what type of team this is?
If you're in Ottawa going to that game, it is the teddy bear toss night. So bring a teddy bear, and Pat, don't try and throw me, please. Saturday, Colorado at Philadelphia. We just talked to Joe Resetarits about this game and everything. Philadelphia was kind of focused Colorado a little bit more. They come off that big win against Vancouver. Will Malcolm goes Oregon and just was unconscious. Andrew Q just fit in perfectly with that team. I think we can say that Colorado is back to being the Colorado Mammoth of old.
They are, but I think that this might be one of the more deadly offenses we've seen out of the Mammoth, because when we're talking about these Mammoth championship teams or the teams that go on deep playoff runs, it's off of the backs of Dylan Ward and the defense. And yes, the defense was great, but I know they only scored 10 goals, but it's against a very good Warriors team. But Malcolm has 8, Q has 7, Lee has 7. This offense, I think, can put up some gaudy numbers this year.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to have the capabilities to win shootouts, but they're also going to have the defense and the goalie to grind it out in some of those low scoring games. For me, the one question mark that I have, and I heard Jake and Lucas talk about this, and maybe it's a nothing burger, but when I saw it, I was kind of confused as well. I don't know if you saw the transaction wire. Are we sure that Dylan Ward is possibly playing? We did see a certain third string goalie get added to the active roster.
Really?
Yes, earlier this week. And I don't know, Jake brings up a great point. Caleb Martin could just be getting added to the active roster because maybe a certain amount of players aren't going to be able to make it to fill it. So there's an opportunity for him to get an extra paycheck. Maybe that's what it is, or maybe it's Whittam. Maybe Whittam has
maybe it's
some
Whittam,
commitment,
yeah,
and Martin's going to be the backup. So maybe I'm galaxy branding myself, but I'm, or maybe it's an opportunity for Nate Whittam to prove himself here. But I just saw that there, and alarm bells went off and said, "Uh-oh,
sure.
Are we seeing something with Dylan Ward here?" Because that could be a problem. That could certainly be a problem.
But, I think Whittam showed himself very well in the preseason. He's probably maybe 1A best junior goaltender in Canada right now. So, maybe you are galaxy braining, maybe you're not. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But that is a very interesting one. So maybe keep your eye on that as we head towards Saturday. Calgary at Toronto. Two teams coming off tough losses. Toronto gives up another fourth quarter lead. Calgary claws back to get that game even and then lose by a couple. I think we're going to see two teams very evenly matched, play a very stout game. I need to see better from Aiden Walsh. I didn't think he was very good in that game. He kind of settled down once he went back in to start the second half, but he's got to have a better solid start. I need to see more from Josh Dowick offensively from Toronto. I thought he was kind of invisible in that first game, especially coming off the year that he had the year before. So I think this is a very prove-it game for both teams coming off losses.
Yeah, two hungry clubs going toe-to-toe, but I think Calgary's probably feeling a little bit better about themselves just due to the fact that I think expectations were a little bit lower, although talking to Eli Salama, I think expectations still are higher than what the rest of the lacrosse world has for them. But you bring up a great point about Dawick. Like, I think they needed more from their right side. Sure, Challen had a great game. Bushi wasn't great. Dawick, no doubt. You have a 40 goal season, man. You have to keep pace with those lefties. The thing that kind of jumps out to me, and again, very micro story, but we saw Calgary was able to get back into that game. Yes, because of the electric offense, but also because JI dominated faceoffs. Like time and time again. And Holden Garland told us this week, it kind of got a little bit deflating at some points when they were making that because they knew they weren't getting the ball back. You know, Jake Nasos not hopping over the boards to take a face-off. They knew, and every time, and that's where face-offs start to matter. No face-off is created equally. But do you know when it does matter? In the fourth quarter, when you're down 4 or 5, and you still got 8 minutes, 10 minutes to go, and you know after every goal you're getting another possession. Yeah, that's when it's important. And if TD Erlin is not in that game and it gets close in that fourth quarter, that's where Toronto's going to be like, would it not be nice to have TD Erlin right now? But who knows? Maybe Calgary had a great offensive game. Toronto is a much different beast defensively. Not saying because I really like Saskatchewan as well, but just a different style of defense. Maybe the matchup works better for Toronto. You don't really have to worry about the face-off battle, but that's the one thing where that does concern me for Toronto deep down the stretch. J.I.'s coming up with the ball. Can Toronto combat that and turn the ball over and get that and not allow it to become a factor late in that game?
NLL Saturday Showcase is in Bandit Land this week. We kind of talked about this game a little bit earlier in the mailbag, but Halifax at Buffalo. This is going to be a fun one. Do you think, was I right in saying that I don't think Warren can have as good back-to-back performance? Like, he can still be solid, but I don't think we're seeing him hold Buffalo to 2 goals. Like,
no,
right?
Yeah, there's no way. There's no possible way, Teddy. I mean, I don't know if we'll ever see another 2-goal game. Never mind against one of the most prolific offenses the league has ever seen. But does it lead me to believe that he's feeling a lot more confident going into Banditland? Absolutely. If you're Halifax, are you feeling more confident that you can win this game? No doubt about it. But I talked about it. Like, Halifax and Buffalo have had some great games over the years. The only issue is since that franchise moved to the East Coast, they're only 5-1 against the Bandits in Bandit land. They're 2-2.
You mean 1-5?
Sorry, yeah, 1-5. 1-5, and they're 2-2 in their own building. So feeling a little bit better when they play in the nest against this group, but confidence has to be at an all-time high going up against a Bandits team that probably is the most confident group in the entire league, and it's probably not even close. But I think this is going to be a close one. If I had to throw a prediction out there, I would not be surprised if we're thinking, come fourth quarter, it's a one goal game, last shot wins. Like, I think we're talking about a 1 or a 2 goal game, but I think Buffalo comes out on top.
The line is set at 23.5. Do you like it?
I saw that earlier and I was kind of thinking about it. I think Ward Hill can still have a good game and Matt Vince could still have a good game and it could still go over. I just look at I think of all the offensive weapons.
It's a lot of offense. Yeah. How did you like Bobo on defense?
He was sound. He was solid, man. Like, you didn't really notice him, which as a defender is not the worst thing. Made 2 really nice plays. The one that jumps out at me is he got beat really hard on a B stick pick. Kind of got bumped. Kurtz rolls to the middle, beat him on the inside on the crease, and he kind of recovered to the middle, turns his body and picks off the pass. So, I actually really thought he was solid and put himself in good positions. Didn't log a ton of minutes, but I think there's a spot for him back there. There's no doubt about that. I think he was more effective defensively than what we saw him out the front door.
Oshawa at Georgia. We talked about this game a little bit. Again, we haven't seen a lot of Georgia. We talked about it before, but in their one showing that we've seen, that line from Mike Grace was ridiculous. But this is, again, two teams that have playoff aspirations, another possibly very close game, and two really good goaltenders in Dougie and Dauber.
Yeah, this one, again, one that I can't really get a great read on at all. I thought the first game for Georgia was solid going into Banditland. They end up putting 11 up against Matt Vince and that defense. They definitely looked a lot better in the first half than the second half, but is Caleb Benedict going to be able to put up 5 again? Probably not. But also, is Lyle Thompson only going to have 1 point? Probably not. So that kind of balances itself out there. If we've seen the way that Oshawa's played the last 2 games and kind of the way that this team is built, I lean towards more of a low scoring battle with some chances taken by both athletic defenses in transition. But Oshawa's also due for a explosion, man. I also wouldn't be surprised if we're talking about a 8-point game for Simmons and a 7-point game for Kurtz and 3-2 for Dyson or something like that. But you can't say both can happen. So if I had to guess, I think we're going to expect a low grind, methodical game between these two teams.
Yeah, it's a 8-7, 10-9 kind of 11-9 kind of game for me.
That's what
but
I'm
it's going to be
thinking,
a hell of an entertaining game. I just love watching those two goalies do battle. The last game on Saturday night is in Vancouver, Las Vegas at Vancouver. They're also doing the teddy bear toss at Rogers, so make sure you bring a stuffed animal to participate. And again, sidebar, make sure you know when to properly throw the teddy bears. It's not the first goal of the game. It's usually the first of the second quarter or maybe the first of the third quarter. So make sure you're paying attention to when the proper time it is to throw the teddy bears. But again, we've talked about this game a little bit, but it's immovable force against the unstoppable force against the immovable object with these two offenses. I can't wait to see what Sean Williams' group has. We haven't seen them yet. We've seen little spatterings of them in preseason games, but now a full-on 100% regular season lacrosse game going into Vancouver. There's going to be, much like when teams go to Toronto, when teams come to Vancouver, there's a lot of local flavor on some of those visiting teams, which brings more visiting fans into the Rogers Arena, which makes for a more raucous atmosphere. When Will Malcolm's going off for 6, you could hear the Mammoth fans cheering and the local fans going off for Will Malcolm. So, Vancouver's got to be careful of that. They can't allow sort of the spatterings of Desert Dog fans and Tyrell Hamer Jackson's entire tugboat crew, cheering in the far corner. You just got to make sure you're staying in the moment and in the zone and not allow them to get momentum, because this is, from all intents and purposes, going to be a very potent offense. But the big question, as you said before, Patty, if Kells can't get it done and they have to go to the kid, it'll be interesting.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't even want to really think of it at this point, because I think you bring up a great point with the amount of local flavor that Vancouver has in that lineup and the ties to the area. It's very reminiscent. And I bring this, I can throw some money in the jar here because it's my second Toronto Maple Leaf reference in the show, but it's very reminiscent of when you see Hockey Night in Canada on a Saturday, teams go into Toronto and that hometown Toronto guy is all sorts of fired up to play in front of the home, to play for a team that he's, cheered for time and time again. We're kind of maybe starting to see that a little more with Vancouver now. The fact that it's downtown, it's not in Langley, it's becoming more of a big show. And with those guys you mentioned, with Jones, Cloutier coming back as well. And Cloutier's been a guy that's played great in that building anyways in years past. You kind of wonder, obviously you talk about home floor advantage, but early on, I think this kind of goes to your point, to Mike's question even more. Maybe it is more important for Vancouver to get out to a hot start, to not allow those hometown guys on the other side to get going and get fired up.
Yeah, I completely agree. I I don't want to put pressure on Vancouver and that group, but I still think there is a lot of pressure on those guys to have success with everything that the team has done in the past couple of years. Kurt said, you know what? It's not going to happen overnight. This isn't a flip of the switch. All of a sudden, we're the best team. It's going to take time. But every moment that it doesn't happen, people are going to continue to question if it's the right thing to have been done. So fantastic game, the nightcap on Saturday, final game on the weekend, Sunday, fun day in Diego, Rochester against San Diego on NLL on ESPN on the Deuce. San Diego, I thought Corey Small was great in his debut. Trey LeClaire was ridiculous. Wes Berg showed up. Dylan Watson had a pretty good game. Trevor Baptiste was solid at the faceoff dot. I think the question was, O'Rig wasn't spectacular. And 3 or 4 goals that he got a piece of that end up behind him, whether they're tricking through his legs or banking off, the hip and going in. I think he needs to be better. But again, this will be our first look at Rochester. Bringing in Zed, a healthy Ryland Hartley. Dan Coates looks like he's going to be healthy and ready to play a full year. What can Connor Fields do after an MVP type season? So lots of questions out of the Nighthawks. But again, another good proving game for both these teams.
Yeah, I'm super stoked for this one, not just because it's almost the perfect time slot as that 4 o'clock games end in the NFL. This one starts up before the Sunday night football game starts. So that's great. But the fact that you get 2 teams that I think anytime they touch the turf provide a lot of fireworks. We've talked about Pechanga Arena. Anything can happen in that building.
Mm-hmm.
2 Orangeville goalies going toe-to-toe against each other. I just feel like this is going to be just a shootout game between both 2 teams. I know I'm probably not giving the defenses enough credit for both sides, but I just think with how good San Diego looked offensively the other night, and we know what Rochester can do, I would not be surprised if this is like a 14. I mean, the last time they played, it was a 14-13 game. Wouldn't be surprised if we're looking at close to 30 goals scored in this game.
Yeah, I completely agree. It should be a great one on Sunday. Cooper Perkins and Nick Casello will have the call on ESPN2. Don't forget, all the games also on NLL Plus, TSN Plus, and ESPN Plus, unless it is the national game here in Canada. All right, Polar Bear time. Let's have some fun.
Time now for Box Bets, your source for all the lines, odds, and props from across the world of lacrosse. Brought to you by CoolBet.com. Stay cool, bet responsibly.
Hey, we're having a good day, lads. And we're still in the mix, baby.
Last week, we cashed. We had Halifax -1.5, Saskatchewan -2.5, plus 365 was the number. The fans voted, and they got it right. This week, we gave them a few more options. I didn't think this was going to be the one that won. It's not the one that I voted for, but the exclusive OTCB box bets parlay this week, Toronto, Buffalo, Vancouver, all on the money line at plus 320, juiced all the way up to plus 400. A lovely line from the Polar Bears, Patty.
Yeah, a great line, keeping it simple once again. 3 favorites at home, plus 320 up to 4-1. I don't hate it at all, Teddy. $10 wins you $40. Like any way you slice it, this is a good little parlay. The thing that I liked it too is that don't worry about tomorrow or whenever you're listening to this on Friday. Get the Friday game out of it. This is the Saturday games. Sit down, make a dent in your couch, watch some lacrosse, and hopefully for the folks listening at home on CoolBet, hopefully this parlay puts a little extra quiche in your pocket.
Ooh, a little extra quiche. The low number of the week is on over-unders is the over-under 22 in that Vancouver game. Vancouver is a -159 home favorite. Buffalo is a -159 home favorite. Is that the biggest number we probably see on a home favorite? Does it get a little higher than that sometimes?
it'll get higher later on in the year. Like I think we've seen Buffalo at like minus 283. They got to have been at least a 300 at some point, but
Oh, damn.
early on in this year,
A little
it's
closer.
probably the biggest. Yeah. Well, I mean, Toronto minus 172 against Calgary seems like a pretty big number early on for that, but
Oh, I didn't see that one.
yeah, that's the biggest one there. One of the other big takeaways, just looking at the lines that jumped out at me, straight even money, Oshawa, Georgia, minus 110 on both sides. So coin flip there between those two teams. Thoughts from the odds makers. So some great options. Again, player props won't be out until game day. Although I don't know if you've been noticing, Teddy, Thursday nights, the Friday night game on TSN, we've been launching player props the night before the game. So take a look, Saskatchewan, Ottawa on Thursday night. Maybe those player props will sprinkle up there.
Still time for all of our fans to get in on the Bets on Bets Edmonton contest. Again, remind our friends how to participate.
Yeah, pretty simple. If you're not already participating, no worries at all. Go to that promotions page. Once you go to that, you're going to click the Take Your Shot, Win the NLL Experience. That's going to take you to our Best on Bets campaign. You'll get all the information there, but click that little green button. If you want to just go to the promotions tab there, go BOBEDM in the bonus slot, type that in, press enter, then you will be entered in. So going on from that point on, every $10 you spend on NLL wagering, doesn't matter if it's two $5 bets on the NLL or if you place 10 $1 bets on the NLL. For every $10 you spend, you're going to get a ticket into the raffle. Each and every week, the raffle leaderboard will also be updated so you can go and check your progress against your buddies or see where you rank. But hey, if you're near the bottom, don't worry. That doesn't mean that you don't have a chance to win, because just all you need to win is that one raffle ticket. But of course, the more you spend, the more tickets you get, the higher chance you get to win. So go ahead, do that. Basically, what you're going to be working for is round trip flight to Edmonton, or if you live close enough, travel reimbursement, 2 nights hotel in downtown Edmonton from Thursday, January 15th to January 16th, and 2 tickets to the NLL Unboxed game in Edmonton on January 16th.
Flights for 2 or flights just for one person?
Flights for 2. It's you and a buddy,
Okay,
you and a girl,
just
your
making
girl,
sure.
you and your whoever, you and plus
Whoever.
one is who get
All right, you and a plus one. I'm a little upset with the Polar Bears that the Broncos are dogs to the Packers, but I won't get into that. Again, if you want to participate at all, head over to coolbet.com. If it's your first time there, when you log in and you register, down at the bottom, a little promo code, type in OTCB, and Coolbet will match your first deposit up to $200, give you a few extra Polar bucks to play along. Of course, it's getting to bowl season, the NCAA. We're getting to some Hawaii golf tournaments and the PGA. NFL's heating up, NHL, NBA, and of course, the National Lacrosse League. And as you always say, stay cool.
Bet responsibly.
One last thing before we get you out of here. If you are doing some traveling or you're sitting at home with the family, need something to watch, head over to Amazon Prime and check out the Mighty Oaks documentary. It's a great story about a lacrosse program down, I think, California. Just a small town community, didn't have lacrosse, didn't really have a whole lot. And a gentleman just kind of really spearheaded the program. And it's just a heck of a story. I'm going to be loading it on my computer to watch on my flights tomorrow. We'll have a recap maybe next week if we both watch it. But Mighty Oaks on Amazon Prime. It's an incredible conversation. It's an incredible story. And I hope you all get a chance to watch and enjoy it. Big shout out to Joe Resetarits for stopping by and giving us some time. I'll let you say it since you didn't really say it during your conversation with Joe. Your 2 favorite words.
Go Bills.
There you go. He's Pat Gregor. Find him at P Greggy. I'm Teddy Jenner at Teddy Jenner. The show is at OTCB _podcast or on the Instas at OTCB Podcast. The games start Friday with us on your television screen, and it goes all the way through Sunday Fun Day down in San Diego. Enjoy the games, everybody. If you go to the games, take a friend. Take a friend, take two. Buy them a beer. Hot dog, friends, and beer, and lacrosse. It's a great trifecta. Maybe even a quad spot. Who knows? Whatever your fancy. Till we speak again. Happy holidays. Stay safe and be excellent to each other.